Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Faridul Astros Beajiat from Section 1. Today I want to talk about or present about Brunei Darussalam trade policy analysis. So first of all, for introduction part, Brunei is a small country with an open economy which they heavily relies on oil and gas. Brunei also a strong Asian RCEP WTO integration and part of the members in AFTA, RCEP, WTO. And Brunei also give a strong commitment to their liberal trade. Trade policy balances openness with domestic interests for Brunei. Brunei also a country that highly dependent in hydrocarbons with over 75% of the government revenue. Despite this openness, Brunei still uses several policy tools to protect their national welfare, culture, and stability. Okay, so what to say is Brunei is extremely open in, in trade, but still very dependent on oil and gas. Because of this, even though Brunei joins AFTA, RCEP, and has a low tariffs, the government still uses certain trade policies to protect their security, their culture, their religious standards, and also the economy itself. Okay, for the next parts, we have for the analysis part. First of all, is tariff structure. For tariff structure, Brunei is one of the lowest in Asia, with average MFN tariff with 0.4%. Over 90% of tariff lines duty free for Brunei. Brunei tariffs used mainly for cultural or religious goods. Remaining tariff mostly for alcohol, tobacco, and luxury items. Next, we have import licensing. Licenses required for sensitive goods. And next point is to ensure the religious, health, and security compliance. Next is licensing is used to because of tariffs are already low. The Brunei also controls goods like alcohol, firearms, chemicals, and agricultural goods. But it also protect the religious values, safety, and security. So licenses required for sensitive goods ni, it's like for example, we take alcohol, firearms, chemicals, and agricultural goods. This one, if the people want to buy or people want to sell this, they need to have a license for this specific items, especially that. Okay, so for non-tariff measures, if Brunei has a strict halal requirements because Brunei is one of the strongest, or maybe one of the Islamic countries. The majority, if it's not majority, but maybe it's all of them is Muslim. Okay, SPS standards, with SPS standards, labeling and documentations. The purpose of these non-tariff measures is to protect the consumers, their religious compliance, and the quality of the items itself. It also can increase the compliance costs for exporters. Okay. Next, we have subsidies and domestic policies, which is a universal subsidies on fuel, utilities, electricities, water, and LPG. Okay, so Brunei give the people subsidies on fuel, utilities, electricity, the water itself, and the LPG. LPG is I think it's a gas for cooking, right? Yeah. Next is support welfare, but create a fiscal risk. Okay. Next we have to keep the domestic prices stable. And next is creating a fiscal risk when oil prices fall. Okay, next we have state ownership, which is oil and gas sectors are dominated by BSP and Brunei LNG. Especially for oil and gas sectors, it is dominated by BSP and Brunei LNG. Next is government drives diversification. Next, where we have SEZs like Sungai Liang Industrial Park support the diversification. Government direct and controls the strategic sectors. Okay, so we can see that what we can say that Brunei has a very low tariffs. So the government relies more on non-tariff measures like halal rules, import licensing, and subsidies. This can protect the cultural and the economic stability. The and strict control in oil and gas also ensures that the sector remains stable, but it limits the foreign participation. It limit the exporters or maybe foreign uh, to export goods in Brunei. Okay, for the next part is the impact of government intervention, which is first of all we have a vulnerability to global oil prices. The revenue will rise when the crude oil or LNG prices rise. Uh, it is also vice versa with revenue collapse when prices fall. Okay. Next, it affects the ability to maintain the subsidies and the development spending. Indirectly, it affects the ability to maintain the subsidies and development spending. In terms of trade, which is TOT risks, if export prices fall relative to imports, Brunei will pay more for its import. Since Brunei imports most food and goods, TOT decline creates vulnerability. For the next, we have cultural and religious protection, which is firstly halal certification and alcohol restriction to protect the societal values and accepted under WTO moral exceptions, but still acts as anti-AMS. Okay, for halal certification and alcohol restriction is because, as we know, Brunei is one of the Muslim countries. The majority is Muslim, so the alcohol and halal restriction is very, very important to the consumers. So they need they need a very, very restriction in order to protect their society values, which is in Islam it is haram and so on. Okay, for food and energy security, we have strict import quality regulations to ensure safe food supply. It also takes control in oil and gas, ensure the energy security. For support for diversification, subsidies, incentives, SEZs help to promote new industries like halal, petrochemicals, and ICT. Next, but too much support may reduce the innovation and the competition in the market itself. Okay, what can you say that government intervention is necessary, but because of this, Brunei is extremely vulnerable to the global oil prices. Subsidies and regulations help to protect households, but at the same time, they create a long-term risk. Intervention is also used to preserve Islamic values and ensure the food security itself. Next, for the implications part, first implication that we have is fiscal sustainability, which is universal subsidies become risky when when oil prices fall. The government revenue becomes unpredictable. And for the second implications that we have is non-tariff measures, which is halal certifications, SPS licensing are necessary but may discourage investors. Next, we have net transparency to avoid being hidden trade barriers. For halal SPS licensing unnecessary, but may disqualify basis is because people from maybe investors from another country like US, UK, and so on, they want to invest to something, but when they see that the goods in Brunei is limited and and strict to halal only, then they are not interested in investing anymore because that's the only product that Brunei will use, and so yeah, they are not interested in invest in that. For the third implication is the diversification challenge. FTAs create opportunities, but SMEs may be unable to meet the standard. Non-oil sectors are not strong enough yet. Okay, so we can say that Brunei need to make its regulation clearer, reduce subsidy dependence, and help SMEs integrate into the regional trade. These recommendations, these recommendations help Brunei become more resilient and competitive as it diversifies beyond oil. Okay, so for the recommendation parts, we have the first recommendation is to improve transparency in NTMs, which is a clear guidelines for halal, SPS, and licensing will be good. Online application system to reduce the delays. For the second recommendations, we have reform subsidies gradually, which is targeted subsidies for low-income groups only, and the free up budgets for diversification and innovations. The third recommendation, we have support SMEs for export, which is a training for export readiness, incentive and easier custom procedures, help SMEs use AFTA and RCEP benefits. Okay, so from conclusion, we have Brunei balances the free trade with cultural protection and economic stability. A low tariff plus strong FTAs will equal with outward openness. The heavy reliance on oil forces with the strong government interventions, NTMs and subsidies are essential but must be modernized. A long-term success depends on the diversification and the regulatory reform. Okay, we can say that in summary, Brunei is open to trade, but it must be managed and its vulnerability to oil prices. With the better transparency, SME support, and diversification, Brunei can fully benefit from FTAs while protecting their national priorities. That's all from me. Thank you.